Now, in the U.S., we're also following some breaking news concerning ongoing protests in Minnesota. President Donald Trump says he will invoke the Insurrection Act if the state doesn't quell demonstrations against an immigration crackdown. Here's what U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said last hour when she was asked if she thinks the act should be invoked.
Oh, I think that the president has that opportunity in the future. It's his constitutional right, and it's up to him if he wants to utilize it.
Do you think he's likely to do it?
I don't know.
But if he does do it, would it lead to more deadly killings in Minnesota if the Insurrection Act is invoked?
If anything doesn't change with Governor Walz, I don't anticipate that the streets will get any safer.
And that's a look at those streets. The threat of the Insurrection Act comes as tensions boiled over after a second shooting involving a federal agent since last week. This was the scene last night in Minneapolis. Agents reportedly deployed tear gas canisters, pepper balls, and flashbangs against protesters last night. They took to the streets after a Venezuelan national was shot in the leg during a targeted stop. The CBC's Linda Ward has more now on the threats made by the U.S. president.
Well, let's take a look at what the president has posted on his social media, Truth Social, earlier this morning, saying, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that's taking place in that once great state. Now, the Insurrection Act would essentially allow the president to deploy the military, federalize the National Guard, and it would be done to, they say, assist law enforcement authorities and suppress rebellion against the United States government that is obstructing enforcement of the law. The Insurrection Act has been used over the course of history about 30 times. The most recent invocation of the Insurrection Act was 1992, when the government of California requested military aid in response to civil unrest after the beating of Rodney King. Now, this was the scene in Minneapolis last night as protesters clashed with authorities, hurling rocks, ice, fireworks, law enforcement agents responding with tear gas, with flashbangs. They are protesting the second shooting by an ICE agent in that city in the course of 1 week. Last night, a Venezuelan national was shot in the leg following a car chase with ICE agents. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says that the man was trying to get away, crashed his vehicle into a parked car, and the man and then two others from a nearby apartment got into a scuffle. They attacked the officer, they say, with a snow shovel and a broom handle. They arrested him, and the man who was shot, as well as the officer, have gone to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Of course, this incident is happening just a week to the day after an ICE agent shot 37-year-old Renee Good.
You know, you've been tracking this. The scenes from Minneapolis have been unbelievable when you take a look at what has happened over the course of the past week. We know that the mayor of Minneapolis has been really outspoken against ICE within his community, and he spoke out again yesterday following that incident that you just explained for us.
Yes, and much of the same as what he's been saying, calling for ICE to leave, to be taken out of his city, but appealing for calm as well. Here's what he had to say.
Let's be very clear. I've seen conduct from ICE that is disgusting and is intolerable. If it were your city, it would be unacceptable there too. And for anyone that is taking the bait tonight, stop. That is not helpful. Go home. We cannot counter Donald Trump's chaos with our own brand of chaos.
We also heard from Governor Tim Walz last night in a televised address saying this is no longer about immigration. This is what he calls organized brutality. And the DHS has again accused Fry and Walz of creating or encouraging this resistance.
That's the CBC's Linda Ward. Thanks, Linda.